Hello, my name is Mary Ann Dyer, and I'm Program Director of Adult Redeploy Illinois at the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority. I'm here today to provide technical assistance for Notice of Funding Opportunity number 2115-0626 for Adult Redeploy Illinois implementation grants. As we go through this session, there may be a number of acronyms in use. ARI stands for Adult Redeploy Illinois. CRA is the Crime Reduction Act, which is ARI's enabling legislation. GATA, or GATA, is the Grants Accountability and Transparency Act, a state law that governs the way state funds are distributed through grants. GMS stands for Grants Management System, which is the online platform state grant applications are submitted on, also known as UNA. CJA, is the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, the state agency where ARI is housed. IDOC is the Illinois Department of Corrections, or the state's prison system. And NOFO, or NOFO, is Notice of Funding Opportunity. Today we'll talk a little bit about Adult Redeploy Illinois and the NOFO, get into UNA, and then talk about some of the requirements and the review process associated with this NOFO, as well as some resources. So Adult Redeploy Illinois was created by the Crime Reduction Act of 2009 to increase local alternatives to incarceration. We're a state grant program that's administered by the Criminal Justice Information Authority, the state agency dedicated to improving the administration of justice through grants and research. ARI is modeled on a successful juvenile redeploy Illinois program at the Illinois Department of Human Services. We use a performance incentive funding model and follow justice reinvestment principles. We strive to be a flexible funding source that focuses on local control and design. And we're mission-driven and data-driven. So our mission is to safely reduce prison use by building local systems that divert individuals from a prison sentence into more cost-effective programs that promote their reintegration into the community. ARI provides funding and technical assistance to Illinois counties to establish a continuum of sanctions and treatment alternatives that effectively address social determinants of crime and incarceration and that promote equity within the justice system. We have a variety of goals, including investing in results-oriented local programs that prevent relapse and future criminal behavior, as well as protect public safety. We seek to foster a strong, equitable community corrections system and support community-led justice efforts, all the while generating and collecting evidence that support decarceration efforts. Our current network is comprised of 27 sites that cover 40 counties and implement over 60 prison diversion programs. So this Notice of Funding Opportunity has the purpose to expand ARI through grants to local jurisdictions for implementation of local prison diversion programs with the overall goal to reduce the number of people committed to prison on probation-eligible charges. The eligibility for this particular Notice of Funding Opportunity is, as per the Crime Reduction Act, county units of government or judicial circuits. A county can submit an application on behalf of a group of counties or a judicial circuit, as well as on their own. This particular Notice of Funding Opportunity requires that, for eligibility, that an applicant must have previous experience implementing ARI-funded programs, but does not have a current State Fiscal Year 27 funding designation. Other units of local government, private agencies, or not-for-profit organizations are not eligible to apply directly to this NOFO, but they may provide personnel or services through subawards or subcontracts to applicant counties or judicial circuits. The funds available in this Notice of Funding Opportunity are an estimated $500,000. The grants range is $50,000 to $500,000. Estimated number of grants to be awarded will be 2 to 3, and the award period is 9 months from October 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. So the goal is for implementation with these grants and the funds from the solicitation will support the development and implementation of local plans to divert people from prison. A local plan is essentially the completed program narrative of this application, plus a logic model and letters of support from key partners in the jurisdiction. Successful applicants will explain how addressing the risk, needs, and strengths of a defined target population through effective target interventions will lead to greater public safety and reduce reliance on prison. Examples of some of the implemented programs include problem-solving courts, specialized probation caseloads, and other enhancements. The requirements related to the ARI program of implementing a local plan to establish or expand a prison diversion program include a focus on equity, a foundation of an assessment of clients' risk, needs, and strengths, investment in evidence-based practices, commitment to performance measurement, providing a reduction goal and agreeing to the reimbursement provision, and if it's a problem-solving court as the model, proof of certification through the Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts, and then an agreement to participate in any evaluation. So from the Crime Reduction Act, as I say, the foundation of any application for Adult Redeploy Illinois funding must be the local plan, which describes how the jurisdiction will protect public safety and reduce the county or circuit's utilization of incarceration in state facilities or local county jails by the creation or expansion of individualized services or programs. A local plan is essentially a mini strategic plan with a summary of the program, a description of the service area, a description of the statement of the problem, both the current situation and the unmet need, a listing of key partners in the jurisdiction, and then a description of the proposed ARI program model, including target population, the target intervention, how equity will be incorporated into the plan, a statement of system impact, incorporation of a logic model, and an implementation schedule. There must also be well-defined goals, objectives, performance metrics, and a discussion of cost effectiveness versus imprisonment. Also, every application will require and local plan will have a budget with budget detail and a budget narrative. So a local plan is essentially target population and target interventions. The target population are individuals who have probation eligible offenses. They must be prison bound in that they have a felony charge and are assessed at moderate to high risk to reoffend. A jurisdiction can work with the entire total eligible population or define a subset that they'll be working on as their target population. We acknowledge that jurisdictions best understand their own local needs and are best situated to identify their target populations and design their local ARI program models. The selected target population, however, should result in the greatest possible number of individuals diverted from state prisons while preserving public safety. In order to identify the target population, ARI and CJA provide eligibility tables. These are available at the ARI website under the Grants tab. Eligibility tables show the numbers of prison commitments on probation-eligible offenses in the prior 3 years by county, offense class, offense type, and by the demographics of those going into the Department of Corrections. With these data, we expect applicants to be able to identify who their target population is and commit to a reduction goal for the number of people they send to the Department of Corrections. We provide a 3-year average of eligible offenses, which is the baseline. We provide information on classes of offenses of those who are sent from a county or jurisdiction to the Department of Corrections in case the applicant jurisdiction would like to focus on a specific type of offense. We also offer demographic information in case the jurisdiction would like to focus on a specific population. So, as mentioned, and as required in the Crime Reduction Act, if awarded ARI funds, sites must agree to reduce by 25% the number of people that they send to the Department of Corrections from their defined target population, or they could face a penalty as an accountability mechanism. So, progress towards reduction goals are measured by the number of diversions or enrollments in lieu of incarceration during the grant period. If a site is at risk of not meeting their reduction goal throughout the grant period, technical assistance can be provided or corrective action may be initiated. Any penalty is at the discretion of the Adult Redeploy Illinois Oversight Board, and it's currently set at one-half the cost of marginal costs of imprisonment. So here's an example of how a target population and reduction goal can be calculated using the eligibility tables previously mentioned. With the goal to reduce by 25% prison commitments of probation eligible individuals from a defined target population based on a 3-year baseline average, a jurisdiction can either take that entire 3-year average of eligible individuals, in this example, 80, then the 25% reduction goal of people to divert or enroll in the local program during the grant period would be 20. If only Class 3s or 4s offenses would be looked at as part of the target population, and that number is 60, that 25% reduction goal would be 15. If further, a jurisdiction wanted to focus only on those individuals with substance use disorders, estimated at 2/3 of the Class 3s and 4s in their eligible population, that number might be 40, and then the 25% reduction goal would be 10. Regardless of calculation, based on the total budget for the program and the estimated number of people served, the proposed ARI program must be a cost-effective alternative to incarceration. So the target interventions can be any type of program model or combination thereof that's aligned with the goals and based in evidence of effectiveness in reducing recidivism. As noted, that could be a problem-solving court, an intensive supervision probation with services program or specialized probation caseload, or system enhancements and additional supports. Innovation and experimentation are encouraged. Regardless of the program model, any effective intervention should follow these principles that are in wide use in the field: assessing risk, needs, and responsivity, enhancing motivation to change, i.e. through motivational interviewing, targeting interventions based on the RNR principles, skill training with directed practices, for example, through cognitive behavioral therapy interventions, increasing positive reinforcement, engaging ongoing community support for reintegration, and measuring relevant processes and practices, and then providing that measurement in a feedback loop. As part of the performance measurement and evaluation parts of any ARI grant, a site must submit quarterly progress reports that reflect progress towards each objective, and they must provide case-level data through an electronic data transfer through a secured server. They also must agree to participate in any required external evaluations that are being conducted to determine the effectiveness of the program. So the timeline of this Notice of Funding opportunity is that the NOFO and the technical assistance session will be posted July 6th, 2026. Questions will be accepted throughout the period of the NOFO through July 23rd, 2026. Application due date is by 5 p.m. on July 27th, 2026. And the ARI Oversight Board will review and make award decisions in August of 2026. The program period, as mentioned before, is a 9-month period, October 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. So now we'll look a little bit into UNA Grants Management System. Any site prior to submitting their state grant application through this online platform must go through these pre-qualification steps and go through the UNA Grants uh, or the GATA portal to apply in UNA. This is what the registration page looks like for UNA Grants. It also provides access to some frequently asked questions to guide you through the process. So one thing to note is that as you are working through this online grants management system platform, this system will time out after 20 minutes of inactivity. So in order not to lose any of the work that you do, click Save and Continue um, on a continuous basis. So again, that your work will not be lost. So here is the application landing page in UNA for this particular notice of funding opportunity. And you will apply at this live link in UNA. The first page is the application information where you'll put the amount requested. And then there's a series of application forms that you will move through. It's important that you click onto each of these forms and ensure that all required information is provided, either filled in the narrative sections and also if there are any uploads of files, that all those are done correctly, because you will not be able to submit the application if all of these application forms as required are not complete and accurate. So the first form is the Uniform Application Form. This is just the standard cover page document for any state grant program. You will download the form that's provided, complete every section, and then upload. You'll also want to check the acknowledgement and include a current agency budget, and then mark as complete. And here's an example of what that looks like. Then the program narrative is the bulk of the application and is most of the application forms comprise the program narrative. Please answer all the questions and the individual parts of the question. Refer to the program requirements and the NOFO instructions, as well as the prompts before each question when completing your response. You can also reference the evaluation and scoring as a guide when completing your response. The program narrative should convey the need for the program, the current system capacity, and an understanding and implementation of required program components. Something else to note is that we do require applicants to use person-centered language, referencing people, individuals, clients, and participants, and refraining from use of offenders or felons. Person-centered language reduces stigmatization to support rehabilitation and reintegration goals. So first, the summary of the program is worth 5 points. And so this narrative section should be completed with a limit of 5,000 characters. Provide a brief overview of the jurisdiction's plan to use ARI funding. In this summary of program, be sure to include evidence towards the eligibility criteria of prior involvement in the ARI network, including the state fiscal years of prior involvement. Next is the description of the service area, which you will identify the county or judicial circuit and provide a variety of demographic and other information about your service area. That's worth 5 points. The next section is the statement of problem, the current situation. This is worth 15 points. You'll complete a table with the IDOC commitments from your jurisdiction, and you will also indicate the need for this funding due to significant commitments to the Department of Corrections of probation eligible individuals. This is going to be a priority 5 points of those 15 in this application. And for that, you will reference the rankings of top committing counties in appendices. Next, you'll fill out another narrative section for 5 points where you talk about the existing continuum of diversion programs and health and human services infrastructure. So here is what that specific page looks like when you will download the IDOC commitments table to complete and upload. This is what it looks like, and you'll fill out these numbers in the table using the eligibility tables mentioned earlier that are available on the ARI website at the Grants tab. When completed, you will upload it back to Unigrants. And as mentioned, priority 5 points will be given to sites that can demonstrate a need for ARI funding based on the number of probation eligible individuals sent to prison compared to other counties in the state. The next part is the statement of problem unmet needs for 5 points, and you'll talk about the investments that are needed and the gaps that need to be filled in order to meet the need described earlier. Reminder, save often so that you don't lose your work. Next, you will list the key partners for 10 points. You'll download, complete, and upload a key partners table for 5 points, and then you'll be required to submit letters of support from the chief judge or presiding criminal court judge, state's attorney, public defender, the director of probation and court services, and any others that you would like to. Upload these to UNA, all these letters of support, as a single PDF file. And here's what the key partners table that you will complete and upload looks like. Next is the project implementation section, which there are 2 forms, and altogether it's worth 30 points. And in this, the first form, you'll describe the target population, your intake and assessment processes, plan to supervise and rehabilitate individuals safely in the community, plan to integrate and leverage existing services, describe the impact on the court system, and also describe a plan to incorporate community involvement. On Form 2, you also describe your efforts to ensure equitable access to your diversion program. In addition, for 5 points, you will include a logic model. We offer a template, or you can use your own, in which you'll describe the inputs, outputs, activities, and outcomes you expect from your program. Here is the template that's provided, but again, feel free to use your own, but this will be required to be completed and uploaded to Unigrants. You'll also prepare an implementation plan or schedule for 5 points. A chart is provided. You'll download that, complete, and upload. Include sufficient detail for internal and external monitoring of implementation progress. This is really a tool that should be useful for you. List all services, goods, products, work product, data, items, materials, and property to be created, any deliverables, as well as important events that must occur at specific points throughout the term or milestones. A reminder, the performance period for this grant is 9 months, so please schedule accordingly. And save often. Next is the goals and performance metrics section, which is worth 10 points. You will fill out the chart that's provided and then upload it in Unigrants, as well as fill out a narrative section that references your program's capacity to meet these goals and the reporting requirements of Adult Redeploy, Illinois. A reminder, the performance period is 9 months, so project your goals accordingly. Final section is the budget and budget narrative worth 10 points. You'll complete the budget and the budget narrative, as well as calculate the cost per person served. Reminder, the performance period is 9 months, so budget accordingly. An Excel spreadsheet provided by CJA is what you must use for your budget, so you can download it, complete it, and upload it to UNA grants. As mentioned, cost effectiveness is something that Adult Redeploy Illinois tracks. ARI-funded interventions must represent substantial savings from the cost of incarceration in state prisons. Currently, the cost per capita for a year in prison is nearly $53,000. So any proposed ARI program should cost significantly less than $53,000 per person. Allowable expenses in your budget include everything from personnel training and travel to participant support in terms of transportation assistance, housing assistance, incentives, as well as program support in terms of data collection and analysis and evaluation. There is an acknowledgement on within the NOFO that you must check that none of these funds will be used to supplant. They will only be used to supplement existing funds for program activities. Once you complete all the forms, you will get to the point of submission. If you have not completed the forms, you will see on this page, not success, but red in red type, the fact that there are things that still need to be completed. So please note this very carefully, this page, and be sure to allow enough time to go back if you do receive some error messages, to go back and complete those well in advance of the due date. And that due date is by 5 p.m. in UNA on July 27th, 2026. No late submissions will be reviewed, and proposals will only be accepted via the UNA Grant Management System platform. They'll not be accepted by mail, fax, or in person. A complete application is all those forms that are included within the UNA Grants system, as well as the uploads, which here are shown as the separate file uploads are shown by asterisk. All of these must be submitted in UNA, completed and submitted in UNA by 5 p.m. on July 27th, 2026. Once the applications have been received by that due date, ARI and CJA staff will screen the applications. They'll go to an expert panel for an objective review and scoring towards a maximum of 100 points and a minimum of 70 points. Any application scoring less than 70 points will not be awarded. Then they will go to the ARI Oversight Board for review and approval of awards. The evaluation and scoring are provided here, and we've also gone through those as we've gone section by section. Please note these. And finally, there are a wealth of resources at the ARI website. Recall you can get the eligibility tables under the grants tab at the ARI website, as well as access other information on the program. And on the CJA website, there's research information. You have access to the GATA page with a variety of webinars about managing this process, as well as technical assistance recordings. Questions regarding this notice of funding opportunity may be submitted and may only be submitted via the CJA Adult Redeploy NOFO at illinois.gov through 5 p.m. on July 23rd. Questions and responses will then be posted on the GATA webpage so that everybody can benefit from the questions of other applicants and the answers provided. A reminder to apply successfully apply for the ARI implementation grant through this NOFO, please submit all required materials in UNA by 5 p.m. On July 27th, 2026. The Uniform State Grant application uploaded. The program narrative or the local plan, all responses completed in UNA. IDOC commitments table uploaded. Key partners table uploaded. Letters of support uploaded as one file in UNA. Logic model uploaded. Implementation schedule uploaded. Goals and performance metrics uploaded. Budget and budget narrative using the Excel spreadsheet provided by CEJA uploaded. Thank you so much for your interest in Adult Redeploy Illinois, and good luck.